Hey y'all, it's hard to believe it, but I'm wrapping up my first year representing the heart of Texas in the United States Congress. So we want to do a year in review month by month. First, in January, we had the most chaotic kickoff of Congress since the Civil War. It was over a dozen votes, if y'all remember, where the far right couldn't agree with the extremely far right on who to elect as Speaker, and they eventually chose Speaker Kevin McCarthy, but eventually I did get sworn in. Then in February, things really got going. I put my name on landmark pieces of legislation like the Protecting the Right to Organize Act to give people truly the right to join a union in this country. We started having debates in committee, and I gave my first speeches on the floor of the United States Congress. I'm Greg Casar, and I represent the heart of Texas. Then in March, I helped launch this year's Women's Health Protection Act that would restore abortion rights in Texas and across the country and undo the disastrous Dobbs decision. Then in April, we led a Farm to Congress tour where we found out how we could support small farmers and consumers instead of just big corporate interests. And so I introduced the Child Labor Accountability Act that would finally start cracking down on child labor exploitation, especially in the meatpacking industry. In May, we delivered millions of dollars to our district in San Antonio to make sure that when migrants are fleeing here for their lives and for their safety, that they can actually be better integrated into our community and are protected and safe. We also reintroduced Medicare for All. I did that alongside Senator Bernie Sanders and alongside more co-sponsors than ever before. In June, we helped deliver millions of dollars for public transit so that people can get around in our community. In July, alongside dozens of other Texans, we held a thirst strike on the steps of the U.S. Capitol to call out Governor Greg Abbott for trying to take water breaks away from Texas workers and calling on the Biden administration to put into place rules to guarantee all workers the right to water and rest on the job. I also introduced the Ag Worker Justice Act and the Fairness for Small Farmers Act. In August, I went on a historic delegation to Colombia, Chile, and Brazil to talk with those leaders and with those communities about how we can work alongside Latin America to take on the challenges of the climate crisis, rising authoritarianism, and how we can work together to address the root causes of migration. In September, we took on congressional Republican craziness like never before. They were trying to shut down the government. We were able to block them from shutting down the government. They tried having a sham impeachment hearing against President Biden. I was in that first hearing, and we showed that they had zero evidence. And in fact, Republican witnesses under oath admitted they had zero evidence to impeach President Biden. In October, while we focused on delivering for working people and introduced the Tenant Right to Organize Act to protect tenants in our community, the far right and the extreme far right got in a big fight and chose to fire Speaker Kevin McCarthy, something that's never happened in American history. In November, we had a new speaker, MAGA Mike Johnson, and we fought against him and prevented a second government shutdown. And while they were focused on their dysfunction, we were focused on keeping people safe and making sure that there were enough air traffic controllers at the Austin airport. In December, we expelled George Santos, and I introduced alongside Morgan McGarvey the Worker Power Act to make sure that workers could be safe on the job. All in all, I co-sponsored over 250 bills. We responded to over 10,000 constituents' questions about policies and issues. We solved over 800 constituents' cases, delivering over $6 million in federal money back to our community that was owed to them. We had nearly 20,000 people participate in our town halls. I went to over 100 community events, and we did this all in 1 year. And I couldn't have done it without you, couldn't have done it without my team. I'm so thankful and honored to represent the 35th District, and I'll see y'all next year.